What's up? This is BoxingWave. I want to respond to Bloodboxing and 78 Sports video. You know, they made an excellent video. It was like an hour long. I listened to the whole thing this morning. And, you know, they made a lot of great points in that video. You know, I was just talking about the politics of boxing. You know, and the zombies, the fans, and stuff like that. And, you know, I agree with just about typically everything they said. You know, I just want to give my take on it because the video, actually listening to the video, it made me feel like, you know what, damn, you know, I make a lot of videos and I talk so much about what fights are going to happen, you know, because of the fact that a lot of these fighters are cash, like Floyd Mayweather, for example. He's a cash cow and he cherry picks his fights. And I speak more on the fights that he's willing to do instead of the fights that he should be doing. You know, he's not fighting the guys that he should be. Like, for example, Manny Pacquiao's a fight that I obviously feel that he should do, you know, take, you know. I mean, I know he has all his excuses on the business aspect of things. Well, I think that's a fight that should happen, you know, before Amir Khan or Maidana. A fight that should happen before the both of them is with Tim Bradley. For obvious reasons, that fight is not happening. There was Lanny Lara. What's the excuse for that fight not happening? You know, Sean Porter, Keith Thurman. I could go on and on here about fighters that I think deserve a shot more than Marcos Maidana or more than, you know, Amir Khan. Now, it made me really sit here and wonder, like, wow, you know, these guys were talking about kind of boycotting the pay-per-view and everything like that. And I actually made a video. I made a few videos discussing a lot of things he said. I made a video responding to D-Style about boxer fans acting like promoters, and I was kind of blaming the boxers themselves, you know, being at fault because of this, because, you know, the fans are not left with anything but talking about the politics. Because the fans always talk about the politics. I mean, the boxers are always talking about the politics, and it's leaving the fans to talk about it as well. Because, you know, instead of talking about fights that should happen and fights that we should expect to happen, we're sitting here left here stuck with talking about the business side of things. You know what I'm saying? Because Floyd, and Floyd is definitely the main reason this happened. I mean, Pacquiao too. You know, Pacquiao. You know, he just doesn't express his opinion on nothing. You know, who do you want to fight? And he doesn't call out people. And in response to their video, I feel what they're saying, like the fans need to boycott and not pay for these pay-per-views for fights that you don't want to see. And, you know, that made me sit here like, wow, you know what? If you know me personally and you watch this video, you know that I throw huge fight parties. Alright, my father did it before me. You know, he used to do it when I was coming up. That's what made me the fan that I am today. Back in the 80s, 90s, he was big and known for throwing the big, huge fight parties at his house. Now, now that I'm, you know, older now and I have my own apartment, my own house, and you know, I do fight parties. Even in my old apartment, which was small, I used to throw fight parties, little fight parties or whatever. But now, I'm never sitting here wondering, the biggest fight party I've ever thrown was for last year's fight, Mayweather and Guerrero. And me personally, like, I'm paying the fight to watch Floyd, just like I paid to watch Pacquiao and Rios fight. I paid for that fight. I don't want to see Brandon Rios fight Manny Pacquiao. I'm paying to see Manny Pacquiao fight. I don't want to see Robert Guerrero fight Mayweather. I'm paying to see Mayweather fight. But for the Mayweather fight, it was crazy because, you know, I had 50, 60 people in my house. I had to order the fight on 2 separate TVs. You know, whatever it was $70. I'm paying $70 times 2. I'm renting a bunch of chairs. I'm getting all this food prepared for my guests. You know, all these drinks, going to the liquor store. Before you know it, it's easily a $300 night for me. You know, and it's not even for a fight that I'm dying to see. You know, I want to see Floyd Mayweather against Lanny Lara. That's the fight I want to see. I want to see Manny Pacquiao fight. You know, but I kind of fell into the whole thing, you know, and that's the reason why I'm making a video, because, you know, now that I think about it, I kind of felt and got comfortable with how things have been with these boxers. Like I fell into the trap, you know what I'm saying, where even though I know deep down inside I have my opinion, and I'll say in the video who I think these guys should fight, I kind of accepted the fact that, you know what, these guys are cherry picking, and they're just doing everything to protect their career. You know, just like Canelo coming up, fighting, you know, Shane Mosley. That's a big name, but we already know that Canelo is going to beat Shane Mosley. You know, he's not fighting the 154, the top dogs in the division. He's fighting just the big names, guys moving up, Josecito Lopez. You know, even if he were to fight Victor Ortiz is not a 154 pounder. He was just fighting at 140 not too long ago. Josecito Lopez, same with him. You know, Alfonso Gomez. You know, he's fought a lot of guys that have names and you kind of know who they are. Matthew Hatton, but they're not no real threat to him. You know, until Austin Trout. Austin Trout was the only one. The only one. And he's only known for beating Miguel Cotto. You know, Miguel Cotto is an all name, you know, and Miguel Cotto is my favorite fighter right now, but he's been for a long time. Miguel Cotto's been my favorite fighter since he beat Sugar Shane Mosley, who was my favorite fighter at that time. So I had nothing but respect for Cotto, and I became a big fan after that. But, you know, go back to what I'm saying. I kind of fell into the trap a little bit with accepting it. And in the videos, I talk more about the fights that are currently in the motion of happening more than the fights that should be taking place, you know. And I kind of accepted it. It's because, yo, I just want to see, you know, I pay when I pay to these pay-per-views, I pay for the fighter I want to see. You know, it might not even be the fight, you know, I mean, that I'm dying to see. It's just because I'm paying to see Floyd Mayweather fight. I'm paying to see Manny Pacquiao fight. Like, I like these guys so much that I want to see clearly on HD screen. I don't want to see it on a computer. Sometimes I do that too. You know, I do that for a lot of UFC fights, you know, where I don't pay or whatever. You know, but there's not too many boxing fights that are pay-per-view nowadays. And you know, I'm just speaking for myself, but I'm sure there's a lot of fans that do the same thing. You know, but I feel what they're saying, you know, and I'm like, damn, you know what, he's right. You know, Amir Khan, you know, I think the Amir Khan is a better matchup in the ring than Marcos Maidana fight, you know, and I said that in the video. But if we really thinking about it, why isn't Floyd fighting Erislandy Lara? Why isn't he? Like, why isn't he fighting him? He's a top guy at junior middleweight. Like, you gotta choose and pick and choose when you want to dip out of that division. You know, you fought a few times there now. One being a cap trade, but whatever. You fought a few times there. Why aren't you fighting him? You know, if you're really the best of all time, why aren't you fighting him? Well, because he doesn't have a name or nobody knows him. All right, well, why are you fighting Robert Guerrero then? It doesn't really make sense. You know, the Canelo thing is understandable. I mean, that was the biggest pay-per-view draw of all time. But you didn't even hit 1 million with the Robert Guerrero fight. You know what I'm saying? So it really goes both ways. But at the same time, the fans are supporting the nonsense. But you still got to blame the boxers too. Because these boxers are not calling people out. They're not calling out who they want to fight. And when they do it, they always backtrack and change their mind. Example, Triple G. He's saying before, you go up, fight whoever, fight Ward, whatever. He's calling out people. And then guess what? The next time we hear from him, he's saying, or his camp is saying, you know, he fight Andre Ward in a later time. You know what happened, right? His promoters hear about what he's saying, who he wants to fight, going back, getting into his ear, like, listen, you can't be out there saying that right now. We're trying to make you a cash cow, and we don't want you fighting Andre Ward right now because that Andre Ward fight put a loss on your record, and you might not be the draw that everyone thinks you could be or have potential to be. You know what I'm saying? That's what I feel why some of these guys are calling people out when they're young, like Keith Thurman. And it might happen to him too. Keith Thurman is calling everybody out. Everybody out. But once he beat a bigger name, soon that might change, you know. I mean, maybe it won't. Hopefully he stays true to himself and stays like the way he is now, old school. You know, he's claiming he's old school. I'm calling everybody out. That's cool. You're young, you're hungry. But let's hope when he gets up there, he doesn't turn into a Floyd Mayweather. You know, this guy is not, this such and such guy is not big enough for me. Or, you know how he is. Typical cherry picking fights that are, you know, going to this whole, high risk, low reward type thing. You know, that's a high risk there, but, you know, the money in that I'm not really seeing. You know, Don Stevenson fighting Kovalev, he wants to get paid more for that fight. So you got to blame the boxers too. You know, and, you know, as far as the 90s, and, you know, I heard them say Bloodboxing back in the day, 78 Sports. I don't know how older these guys are than me, but you know, I was watching boxing in the 90s. You know, I mean, I was young, but like I said, my father was into it. I used to watch all the fights with him. That's how I became a fan. I used to watch these fights live with him. You know, I even watched the first UFC live with him. I remember him ordering it on pay-per-view, and I watched that with him. That's how I became an MMA fan. But anyway, yeah, I used to watch these sports. Now, I don't know the business aspect of things back then. You know, I can only do my research on that, but I wasn't there when it was happening to know. I would watch the fights, but I didn't know the business aspects of things. Were things really that much easier? You know, were they really just matching up the best? And it seems like they were. You know, they were just matching up the best with the best back then. You know, you didn't have all these belts and all this other nonsense going on. You know, you wouldn't have 3-4 champions in a division and none of them are fighting each other like the lightweight, the light heavyweight division. I'm sorry, like these guys said in the video. They said Bernard Hopkins, you know, Donaldson, Kovalev, whatever. They was bringing that up in that video. You know, and I'm sure you couldn't do it. It wasn't like that back in the day. But now, being that boxing did take a hit, you know, boxing, you know, isn't as popular as it once was. These guys are just like, whatever fighter that's doing well, these guys are, you know, the promoters and even the boxer are so afraid to take that one loss that they don't even want them challenging themselves anymore, and the boxers themselves neither. You know, so I mean, I get what they're saying. At the same time, though, the fans gotta boycott. Listen, don't pay for a fight you don't want to see. You know, don't pay for it, because these guys need to realize that, listen, no, if we're gonna pay our money, you gotta be giving us the best fights. You know, you better be giving the fights that we want to see. You better be fighting the top competition if you're a top fighter. And I get what they're saying, but at the same time, like, you know, the boxers itself, they got to do better, man. They got to do better with, picking their fights. But listen, Amir Khan is getting this fight with Floyd Mayweather. If he gets the fight, it's because Amir Khan has been calling Floyd out for a long time now. You know, he's been saying it in the interviews a lot. Last year, he was saying a lot of that in his interviews. Like, yo, I think I could beat Floyd Mayweather. My hand speed. He's been saying it. I haven't seen all these other guys saying it. Landy Lara gotta start calling out Floyd and stop calling out Canelo. Call out the best. Sean Porter need to do the same. He needs to do more of it. You know, no respect no more. Just, yo, this is the top guy. You know, like, call him out. Call Floyd out. Say his name in every single interview. You might get your shot. You know, Manny Pacquiao too. Manny Pacquiao hasn't really said anything since Floyd been going on these interviews. Manny Pacquiao hasn't been saying anything. He lets his promoter do all the talking. So you gotta blame the boxers at the same time, not for making the fights, but they gotta press the fights. They gotta be the one to want the fight. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's it. That's just really my, you know, these guys did a great video. I could talk more, but I got to do this 15-minute thing, so I can't keep talking or whatever. But great video, guys, and keep up the good work. And make sure you guys subscribe to my channel and let me know what you think. Bye.